Mic check 1 2. Making sure we get that audio. Mic check 1 2. Making sure we get that audio. Mic check 1 2. So I know it works. There we go.
In 10 days, when the sun is eclipsed, I will unleash the Kraken.
Do you know what the Kraken is? The Kraken is the end of us. A colossal elemental beast. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel. Even the gods fear it. Release the Kraken!
We
you know that your people are God, you do what it takes to defend them. Get at whoever's against them, and don't hesitate to avenge them. When you know that your people are God, you thankful that you in their likeness. Ain't no more worshiping whiteness, ain't killing your enemies righteous. When you know that your people are God, you do what it takes to defend them. Get at whoever's against them, and don't hesitate to avenge them. When you know that your people are God, you thankful that you in their likeness. Ain't no more worshiping whiteness, ain't killing your enemies righteous. When you know that your people are God, you know that they only on top cause we left. When we wake up we gon' get them and put them back where our ancestors should've left them. Yeah, I said F them, but y'all gon' protect them. If it's between them and God, you select them. Worship they idols, your spirit erect them. They killing our people, why can't you reject them? The Bible's corrupt, the Quran is corrupt. As long as they use them to subjugate us. If the religion not picking us up, then put the book down and don't pick it back up. We gods, the scriptures are you. We already did everything that they do. Africans wrote everything that they read. Our ancestors bled but will never be dead. You know that your people are God. When you can survive on my offer, become educators and doctors. The enemy's mad cause he's not us. You know that your people are God. When after racism and lynching, you packing 1,000 inventions. Y'all niggas ain't paying attention. Or you know that your people are God. This is our planet. We was everywhere before anybody else was anywhere. We're the makers, the owners. Mankind is made in our image.
You know that your people are God. When after the savages take us, kidnap and murder and rape us, enslave us and still cannot break us. You know that your people are God. Whenever I step to my altar, the ancestors take what I offer and watch all my enemies falter. You know that your people are God. When after the savages take us, kidnap and murder and rape us, enslave us and still cannot break us. You know that your people are God. Whenever I step to my altar, the ancestors take what I offer and watch all my enemies falter. You know that your people are God. Who on this planet can stop the black woman? Chase my seeds, you better take heed. When we wake up, all my enemies bleed. I'm a new African, Whitey can't stop, Bucky can't steal, and Heather can't block. Let's make it clear like a shot of Ciroc. I'ma get free while y'all wait on Barack. We gods, when we don't vote. We gods when they got us chained up on the boat. We gods in the pen, we gods in the brain. Got nothing wrong with us, let's get out here. Don't know your power, you can't see the light. This is your hour, you ready to fight? A mother, a sister, a warrior wife. I know I'm a god, but that on my life. You know that your people are gods. When they infect you with the virus, you still having babies despite this. Can't help it, the whole womb is lifeless. You know that your people are gods. When they infect you with the virus, you still having babies despite this. Can't help it, the whole womb is lifeless. You know that your people are gods.
When the sun is eclipsed, I will unleash the Kraken.
Do you know what the Kraken is? The Kraken is the end of us. A colossal elemental beast. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel. Even the gods fear it.
Release the Kraken!
When you know that your people are God, you do what it takes to defend them. Get at whoever's against them, and don't hesitate to avenge them. When you know that your people are God, you thankful that you in their likeness. Ain't no more worshiping whiteness, ain't killing your enemies righteous. When you know that your people are God, you do what it takes to defend them. Get at whoever's against them, and don't hesitate to avenge them. When you know that your people are God, you thankful that you in their likeness. Ain't no more worshiping whiteness, ain't killing your enemies righteous. When you know that your people are God, you know that they only on top cause we left. When we wake up we gon' get them and put them back where our ancestors should've left them. Yeah, I said F them, but y'all gon' protect them. If it's between them and God, you select them. Worship they idols, your spirit erect them. They killing our people, why can't you reject them? The Bible's corrupt, the Quran is corrupt. As long as they use them to subjugate us. If the religion not picking us up, then put the book down and don't pick it back up. We gods, the scriptures are you. We already did everything that they do. of God. This is our planet. We was everywhere before anybody else was anywhere. We're the makers, the owners. Mankind is made in our image.
You know that your people are God. When after the savages take us, kidnap and murder and rape us, enslave us and still cannot break us. You know that your people are God. Whenever I step to my altar, the ancestors take what I offer and watch all my enemies falter. You know that your people are God. When after the savages take us, kidnap and murder and rape us, enslave us and still cannot break us. You know that your people are God. Whenever I step to my altar, the ancestors take what I offer and watch all my enemies falter. You know that your people are God. Who on this planet can stop a black woman chasing my seeds? You better take heed. When we wake up, all my enemies bleed. I'm a new African, Whitey can't stop, Bucky can't steal, and Heather can't block. Let's make it clear like a shot of Ciroc. I'ma get free while y'all wait on Barack. We gods, when we don't vote. We gods when they got us chained up on the boat. We gods in the pen, we gods in the bricks. There's nothing wrong with us that we cannot fix. Don't know your power, you can't see the light. This is your hour, you ready to fight? A mother, a sister, a warrior, wife. I know I'm a god, but that on my life. You know that your people are gods. When they infect you with the virus, you still having babies despite this. Can't help it, the whole womb is lifeless. You know that your people are gods. When they infect you with the virus, you still having babies despite this. Can't help it, the whole womb is lifeless. You know that your people are gods.
The original name of Egypt is Kemet, and Kemet means the land of the blacks.
Some of the first samurai in Asia were Africans.
King Abubakar sailed to America before Columbus.
Math and science originated in Africa.
All of humanity comes from Africa. King Mansa Musa is the richest man to ever live. Africa is a continent, not a country.
Imhotep was the world's first known genius, and he was a doctor, an architect, a poet, and a priest, and the most important fact was he was a black man.
The ancient Egyptians were black people.
The Olmec civilization was a black civilization.
The Great Pyramid is 48 stories high, 755 feet wide. It took 2,300,000 stones to build, each weighed 3 tons, and it was built by African king named King Khufu.
Black people never stopped fighting slavery.
Peace and power, family. This is your brother Baba Amin Ojuwo of the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity. Want to welcome everybody into our broadcast, our first Sunday broadcast for the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity. I know some of y'all may have expected to see us in a place with everybody together doing temple. But no, we don't have a facility right now. We're searching for a facility for temple here in Fort Worth. So what I wanted to do though, because people have been calling in here like we need temple, we need temple, we need temple. I wanted to bring temple to the people, you know what I'm saying, regardless. So I'm recording from home. I'm at home right now, broadcasting, because we need to do a message every Sunday. And so we'll be doing a message every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Time. And then when we do find our facility, we'll be rolling over into that facility and broadcasting. Our next public temple will be August the 20th. The location is still being laid out for RBG Family Weekend. That'll be our next live broadcast of temple with the community, with the whole family here, of course, for RBG Family Weekend, which goes down August 18th through the 20th, 2017, right here in Fort Worth, Texas. I got to get used to looking in the camera and conversating with y'all, man. All right. Before we get started, though, this is the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity, which we are looking at renaming just simply the Nu Afrikan Temple. All right, N-A-T, Nat, just like the Right Reverend Nat Turner, the Nu Afrikan Temple. So I'll be looking for feedback on that. But we are the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity. What the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity is, we're an interfaith spiritual center where our religion is black people come together. All right, we consider our philosophy to be Pan Afrikan Universalism or African-centered universalism. We're universalist spiritually in that we're more concerned with the tenets of your faith that we have in common than our differences. But we're African-centered in scope, you know, so we look at African spirituality primarily, and our goal is to create spiritual unity among African people first and foremost. We believe we look foolish trying to sit at the table of quote-unquote humanity when we haven't sat at the table of being black people, the table of being African, of being Moor, of being Asiatic, the table of being melanated beings, right, and created some unity and built some nations there. So the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity is that institution. We've been around since 2011. During that time, we've ushered in a beautiful change, a powerful change in our community here in Fort Worth, Texas, and in communities abroad. We've corrected names, we've officiated weddings, we've taught. Oh my goodness, have we taught. You know, we brought the message, we brought the history, the spiritual walk, the scientific walk. We're institution builders. We have the Uhuru Academy, which is a school of the temple. The temple has a school called Uhuru Academy. I know a lot more people probably know about the Uhuru Academy than they know about the temple. But we are institution builders here at the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity. The Uhuru Academy we just finished our 7th year. We had our first 2 college graduates this year. So the school is alive and well. All right, the school is alive and well. The Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity has always been very active in our community with outreach through different events, from RBG Family Weekend to the solutionary panels that we hold, our outreach in the so-called projects where we teach history to the children. I mentioned the Uhuru Academy already. We have our adult education program called Operation Reconnect. We have our adult African history program, which is going great right now, by the way. So we have a lot of things going on and a lot of things that we plan on doing in the very near future. Just because you don't see the family here, the family is still there. My beautiful queen, Nkoyo Ojiwo, first and foremost, always by my side. I like to recognize their Jamus, Mama Kamari and Baba Bomani, for their continued support. Want to recognize the Africas, Kari Menashe Africa, Supreme Ra Africa, for their continued support. My man 7 Seas, Ali Africa and his family, for their continued support. Everyone out there who's a part of the Temple family, who've touched Temple, who've lent your energy, your positive energy to Temple. I want to say greetings, I want to say peace, and I want to say thank you. Peace, Miss Nisa. All right. You know, as people go into the live chat, I will be responding, you know, as soon as I can get to that. But this is pretty fun. I kind of know how Sinetta feels now, you know what I'm saying? All right, so this is what we're going to do. All right, we have to pay homage to our ancestors first. This is what we do each and every week at Temple. I have a small plant here, just a small plant, because we're just starting this endeavor. So we're going to grow this plant together, and we're going to pour libation. In Temple, when we pour libation, we keep it simple. We call out the name of an ancestor. We recite Ashe, which means make it so or give it power. And then we pour water to the plant, symbolizing just like the water causes the plant to grow. Our ancestors have poured knowledge, wisdom, and understanding into us that cause us to grow as well. All right. If you want me to pour libation for one of your loved ones, you can do it in the comments on Facebook or in my inbox on Facebook, or you can come into the live chat on YouTube and we can pour libation for your loved one as well. We bring our loved ones into the room with us, our ancestors into the room with us, to remind us of the job that we have, to remind us that it's bigger than ourselves. We bring our ancestors in to bring their energy into the room, to remember those that we revere, remember those that we respect as we're on our journey to enlightenment, on our journey to learning and to building a better world for African people. I like to start us off. I like to pour libation for my mother, Alice Baker. I say, Ashe. All right. Ola Mons, Ashe. Ashe. What's up, Tajiri Kando? Who would you like to pour libation for? You can put it in the chat. I like to pour libation for the Right Reverend Nat Turner. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Harriet Tubman. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Sojourner Truth. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Denmark Vesey. Ashe. Baba Eshundeli. Ashe. Lester Armstrong. Ashe. Baba Bendeli. Ashe. I like to pour libation for my father, Robert Parker. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libation for Bob Marley. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libations for my wife's father, Arthur Lee Forrest Jr. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Dr. Amos Wilson. Ashe. I like to pour libations for all those who transition in the Middle Passage. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Trayvon Martin. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Sandra Bland. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Corn Gaines. Ashe. Pour libations for Sister Akila's mother. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Tamir Rice. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Arthur Henderson. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Emmett Patton Sr., Emmett Patton Jr., and Emmett Patton III. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Melvin Jackson and Ray Charles Jackson. Ashe. Ashe. I like to pour libations for King Shane. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Malachi. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Ruth Lockett. Ashe. Ruby Diggs. Ashe. I like to pour libations for Thelma Loud. Ashe. At this time, I'd like to pour libations for all those we have not named, but we certainly have not forgotten. Ashe. 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 All right. All right. I always have to pay homage to our ancestors. Without them, we would not be here. Okay? And we're especially grateful to our ancestors as African people because they've endured the worst atrocities in human history so that you and I could be here. But not only that, they built civilization so you and I could be here. Our ancestors developed the African science of family so you and I could be here. Our ancestors carved their contributions in stone so that even when we were separated from them, even when we became disconnected from our story, disconnected from our history, they had achieved things that were so great, so magnificent, that the enemies of our people couldn't destroy it. They had to leave it there because they needed to copy it. Can you imagine creating something so magnificent that your enemies can't afford to destroy it? That they have to leave it there, that they're marveled by it? To the point that nowadays they try to say aliens did what our ancestors did. They try to give credit to aliens. Like, can you imagine accomplishing something so great that people who hate you can't destroy your work? They can't afford to destroy your work. They couldn't survive destroying your work. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? So we're grateful for our ancestors that we could go back and go into Africa, into the homeland, even on this side of the planet. You could dig. If you dig deep enough, you're going to find black people. Pretty much wherever you go on the planet, if you dig deep enough, you're going to find our footprint, you're going to find our photograph, and we're grateful to our ancestors because we've been a part of a time, we've lived in a time where our contributions to society, our contributions to civilization, right, where the enemy has tried to erase that and put his face over our face, right? But our ancestors were so thorough, so thorough that they couldn't hide what we did. So thorough that they're coming up out of slavery, out of colonialism. We had brave brothers and sisters like J.A. Rogers and Drusilla Dungy Houston and Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and Carter G. Woodson and Arturo Schomburg, right, to embark on a mission to find our history. They embarked on a mission to find, I'm talking about fresh out of slavery, fresh out of colonialism. You had black people to rise up and say, now I gotta find the truth about who we are. 300 years, 400 years of being disconnected, and came right up out of it and embarked on a mission to find our story. You have to be grateful to ancestors for that. I know a lot of us modern day teachers, we look slick, we talk slick, we got all these great messages, we know how to kick the knowledge, man. We wouldn't be anything without our ancestors, without the brothers and sisters who kicked off this work. I don't care what your ideology is, whether you're Moor, whether you're a Hebrew, whether you're a Nation of Islam, whether you're RBG or Pan African. If it wasn't for those ancestors who went out and searched for the evidence, we wouldn't have a leg to stand on today. If we didn't have them, if it wasn't for them searching out, you wouldn't know you were the original Hebrews. You wouldn't know that you were the Moors. You wouldn't know that African people were the fathers and mothers of civilization. You wouldn't know the significance of the red, black, and green without your ancestors. And they're our common ancestors. They're what we have in common. They're what we share. I know we spend a lot of time debating. We spend a lot of time arguing over who's right, who's wrong, who's pseudo, who's real. We spend a lot of time, and those conversations have their place. They have their value. But at the end of the day, we have so much more in common. At the end of the day, we have so much more in common to be grateful for. We couldn't sit and look into these webcams if it wasn't for the perseverance of our common ancestors. It just wasn't a group of Moors that got us here. It wasn't just a group of Asiatics that got us here, a group of Pan Africans that got us here. It was a combination of all that got us here. It was the dedicated workers, the sacrifice makers in all the groups that got us here. So we should have a place. We should have a day and a lot of time where we could drop our differences and look at those things and celebrate and revere those things that we have in common. It's a fact that many of us live in the same communities with each other. Different ideologies, but we live in the same community. It's a fact that many of our people still worship Christ. Many of our people still worship a white Christ. That's a fact. Yet at the end of the day, we still have some things in common that we need to explore and build on. We still have some things in common that we need to explore and build on. We have to look at that. And that's what temple is. Temple is that place in the community where we drop our differences and we come together to build unity. We come together to build spiritual unity, political unity, economic unity in those areas where we have common interests. I'm going to say that again. In those areas where we have common interests. All right? That's very important. That's very important. One of the things I've noticed over the years and what spurred the founding of the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity was that there are a lot of great groups out there, and I've been a part of and sat in with a lot of great groups out there, from the Nation of Islam to the Nation of Gods and Earths to the Hebrew Israelites to the Moorish Science Temple, the Nu Africans, RBGs, a lot of great groups out there with great people inside of these groups, right? And they going at black liberation, African liberation with fervor. Even some African-centered Christians that I know, that build and organize towards liberating our communities, setting up African-owned businesses, building our own schools, right? I've been around these formations for years. However, there's always been something missing when it came time for those formations to leverage their power through unifying with one another, based on commonality. There's always been something there that even with all our talk of independence, all of our talk of freedom, all of our talk of liberation, that has prevented us on a mass scale from taking over our communities. that has prevented us from, on a mass scale, from producing young scholars and leaders that's going to take this struggle to the next level and bring us into ownership. There's something missing, because I'm seeing young people still come into the movement in these various formations, but I also see this barrier put up in between the formations where we don't fool with them. We don't fool with them. They don't fool with us. I'm still seeing one Hebrew group turn into two Hebrew groups when there's a disagreement. I'm still seeing a nation of Islam disunity or disharmony. I'm still seeing Pan African groups split from one group to another group. And rather than watching formations come together, I'm watching formations continue to split apart to the point that where their movement becomes engulfed in dealing with their black enemy and not their white enemy, not their systemic enemies. Where the bulk of their time is spent putting out fires in-house, and it's destroying the outreach inside the community. To the point where I'm walking down the street and I'm looking and I'm saying, I know that there's more than one Pan-African, Moorish, Hebrew, Islam, Rasta formation in this community, yet the Koreans still own the stores. I know we're talking about it, nation building. I know we're talking about it, right? But are we being about it on a level that we've been about it in the past? This is the information age. And one of the things that motivated us to start Temple was that despite it being an information age, it looks like it's even more the misinformation age. Because when you look along the landscape, and understand this is everybody's responsibility, right, to fight for their own liberation. It's not my responsibility to just fight for yours. You have to be there to fight for mine too. But around 2009, 2010, we looking amongst the landscape and we see a debate culture out here, which, okay, we're debating, but we're not even debating in our own venues. And it's not schools of thought debating, it's individuals debating that aren't building institutions around what they build or what they talk about. I looked across the landscape and we're still using words like, yeah man, let's build, but building just means talk. Let's talk. That's all it means. We're building right now. But not seeing fresh building. I'm not saying no one's doing anything. I'll never say that, because we have elders, y'all, that have been in this fight since the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, consistently still in this fight. We have formations like in Cobra that just celebrated their 28th anniversary, 28 years fighting for reparations. We have the Republic of Nu Afrika, been here since 1968, wrote our own constitution, the Code of Umoja. They still here, still holding elections, but still struggling to reconnect with the community at large. So we have this great information out here. You can go on YouTube and you can find the information. You can see Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Dr. Jeffries. You can see Delbert Blair and Phil Valentine and Kaba Kabane. You can soak it in on your own, but they aren't attached to institutions. So when we turn around after looking at it, we look and say, well, what do I do with this information? Peace, Shattered Centers. What do I do with this information? Where are the formations in the community where I can take this information and gain some more understanding? Where are the brick and mortar places on the ground where I can take this information and gain some understanding with it? Build with it, with like minds. Where are those places? And we looked across the landscape, and what we saw was basically if ain't nobody coming that's famous to give a lecture, you don't hardly have those places. There are few and far in between. We got a couple of bookstores here, a couple of bookstores there where people can meet. But on a mass level, those institutions don't exist. On a mass level, your major cities, many of your major cities still have places. New York has places. Dallas, Fort Worth has places. Houston has places. Memphis has places. Little Rock has places. What about Tyler? Abilene. Atlanta has places. What about Savannah? What about some of the smaller towns and areas where we populate? where do we go? So you got the information spread all over the place, but not enough institutions to meet the need, to meet the hunger, to meet the thirst. So what happens, people become gurus on their own. People become gurus on their own and begin to spread the information as best they can with what they got, but many gain too much information too fast, don't have the moral fiber to handle the power and the influence that comes with teaching and molding other people's minds, and what happens, they end up either intentionally or unintentionally abusing the power that they have. The ego tends to take over. We tend to ignore or not even know of the people who are on the ground in the community fighting for liberation every day. But I got 100,000 viewers on YouTube. I must be a leader. And now I'm bigger than the brother or sister that's working on the ground, because the brother and sister working on the ground might be working with 20, 30 people. They might be getting 112, 130 views here and there. You know what I'm saying? They holding rallies in their little town. They trying to open businesses in their little town. They doing what they can to circulate the black down in their little town. They ain't got 200,000 viewers, so they got to pay me to come in and talk to them. But there's no agenda to build with them. There's no agenda to build with them. There's no agenda to walk out of the town knowing that those who think like you that live in the town are starting institutions based on what we believe. Matter of fact, it's a hustler's thing. You leave them with just enough for them to make sure that they invite you back and pay the honorarium or whatever next year. That's what motivated us to start the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity. People always telling me, Baba, you can speak. Man, you can speak, man, you can speak. Bro, you good. You need to be out there. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing the lectures and that sort of thing. And it always rubbed me wrong because I'm like, no, we got to keep putting in the work at home first. Let's put in the work at home first and let our work carry us. Not my personality. Let our collective work carry us across the country. Let our collective work bring people into the fold. It might take a little longer to do, but it'll be more sustainable if we do it that way. Let's take work into somebody else's city. Examples of what you can go out there and do in your community right now that's practical to empower black people. We have to be institution builders. They got to see you go through the mud. They got to see you making the sacrifices. They got to see that. See, y'all, because our community don't need leadership. It needs serviceship. You can't drive a car without an engine. And the engine has been taken out of our community. The moving parts, the parts that make the engine go, they've been taken out of our communities. So you can stand up, you can go live, you can get the information, you can talk noise, but if you're talking noise and you got an empty community behind you, a vehicle that cannot move behind you, you're going to get frustrated and get mad at your people. You're going to get frustrated and get mad at your people. Your people are going to get mad at you. You're trying to drive a vehicle without a motor. We have to service the community. We have to service us. Then we can lead. You got to come in and do the dirty work. They got to be able to knock on your door. Man, I want to learn more about self. I want to get involved. Then you got to be able to call the other formations. What y'all got going on, nation? I got a cool brother over here, man. He say he's real interested in the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to send him your way. Because y'all real good at taking a young man and cleaning them up, getting them sober, that sort of thing, and putting them on some discipline. I'm going to send them your way. I got a Kendrick Lamar fan over here, Hebrew. He's a Kendrick Lamar fan. He want to hook up with some black Hebrews in the city. I'm not going to tell him not to be a Hebrew. I'm going to send him your way. That's what the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity is all about. Got a brother that's interested in RBG. We finna get him with the RBGs, man. You'll go good with them. You look good with them. I got a sister interested in the Sacred Sister Circle. I got a sister interested in Comedic Science. Let me guide you that way. Where's your spirit taking you right now? Because every movement is a bridge for some and a home for others. And if I go outside and my neighbor on the left is in the Nation, my neighbor on the right is a Rasta, my neighbor across the street is a Moor, my neighbor down the street is a RBG, that's a cool neighborhood. That's a neighborhood where everybody at least got a black God. We can start building on that. We still gonna have our differences, but shit is better than what I see when I go out my door right now. That was the motivation behind Temple. We need a place that's an umbrella place. We need a place where we all say, you know what, this is the no beef zone. I ain't talking about, see, we talk about beef, we think we talking about gang banging. No, man, beef permeates throughout black culture. Black on black beef permeates throughout black culture, from the boardroom to the block. From the boardroom to the block. I be laughing when I see corporate Negroes talking about how divided street Negroes are. Knowing good and doggone well in your job, you run as far away from black folks as you can. So beef permeates throughout our African-centered ideologies. It permeates through that. But at the same time, we live in the same communities. Our children are under the same type of attacks. We need wider market base for our businesses. We have to do business with each other, or no one's going to do business with us. So we have to build institutions that bring us together, not to be best friends, not to compromise on our differences, but to look and say, you know what, we can unite and build on what we have in common. I won't disrespect your leader or your teachings. I won't disrespect it openly in your face and crass like that. You know what I'm saying? Trashing you like that, because I need to work with you to build the community that I currently live in, that we both currently live in. Now, some of us have the luxury of being conscious, but you don't live in a black community. Ain't no pressure on you. You have a luxury of being conscious, but you're not organizing. You have no formations right now. So you have a luxury of just knocking people out. Left and right. We got to get them out. And then it's an excuse for you. We got to get them out the way first. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. They ain't the ones that's in your way. You're not appealing to the people because another black man with a different ideology got to them first. It's that same cracker ideology that got a hold of the people. It's that same Eurocentric ideology that's in your way. So while we spend the time removing other black philosophies out the way, it's the white philosophy that's permeating throughout our community 24/7. It don't shut off. So when we turn away from that and focus on each other, focus all our energy on dissing each other, talking bad about each other, while we're focusing all our energy on that, another episode of Empire is coming on. Somebody else is streaming some bullshit fake news right now. While we're doing all that, another child is praying to white Jesus, to a white God, to a God that don't look like them right now. So we spend an unbalanced amount of energy going at each other. Some of us do it because it's safe. It's safe when you become militant to just attack other militants. If you focus on the government, if you focus on law enforcement, if you focus on your true enemy, if you focus on school systems, if you focus on building businesses and acquiring land, that might bring some attention from your actual enemy. But as long as I diss Umar, I'm good. As long as I'm dissing Seti, I'm good. As long as I'm dissing Baba Amin, I'm good. That's safe. Tariq Nasheed, I'm good. That's safe. As long as we turn in and start fighting and battling each other, then they know, okay, good, we're doing the Fed's job for them and confusing the people, because, again, remember, the people are being inundated with information at unprecedented levels. And people want to know, well, where do I go? What do I do next? What can I get involved in? And they're asking questions like, why ain't nobody out here doing nothing? When there's been people out here doing something for years, but a lot of us who done got this newfound mic in front of our mouths, we don't even pay homage to the workers that's been out here for years. We don't talk about the Uhuru movement based in Florida. We don't talk about Cobra. We don't talk about the organizations that have been out here because we want people to look at us. So our first temple was a temple on the ground. It wasn't a temple in a webcam. It was a temple on the ground. We founded it in 2010, 2011. We had to partner with a business in the community because, of course, we didn't have a brick and mortar place of our own at the time. So we partnered with a local business, the Doc Book Shop, here in the community, and began Temple. The Doc Book Shop was struggling at the time financially, just like a lot of our black-owned bookstores, man. Black-owned bookstores across the country are dying, and we're letting them die because we think we can get our full story on the internet and we don't need books. Everything ain't on your Kindle. Everything ain't on YouTube. And you can't trust everything you see on YouTube. So our black bookstores were dying. It was a perfect partnership. I've been volunteering at the Doc for a couple of years anyway, trying to help the business along. We did a radio show together, hosted several events together, and so it was only natural that we put the temple inside of the Doc Book Shop. We started meeting every Sunday. Sunday became their best day of the week. Every Sunday, the people would come in and I would share my teachings with them, you know, and share my vision of black unity and share my vision of Africans coming together based on what we have in common and putting our different society. You look and you had Muslims in there, you had Hebrews in there, you had Rastas in there, you had Christians in there, you had Black Power, RBGs in there, and everything we talked about, everybody just nodding their head because we have so much in common. We started going out and feeding the community together. Brothers and sisters started rejecting the European names and picking up African names. We developed an African naming ceremony and began to correct names right there in Temple, right here in Fort Worth, Texas. People were dropping the Eurocentric thought. Then I looked up and brothers was finding E5, sisters was finding Voodoo, others was finding Moorish science, others was finding 5%, others was finding RBG. Everybody was just getting in where they fit in. Others was going back and taking white Jesuses down off their wall in their churches and putting up black messiahs. Everybody just getting in where they fit in. That's what Temple is. Then we didn't spend a whole lot of time out there screaming at the police, screaming at the city government. We spent time inside the community, talking to black people. We subsidized the Uhuru Academy, Fort Worth's first and only African-centered private school. And the Uhuru Academy reflected the temple. You had Christian children, Muslim children, Rasta children, Pan African children, all in one school learning our common story. Learning each other's faiths, learning each other's beliefs, and becoming comfortable with them, respectful towards them so they won't grow up with the fear that we have, because that's what it is, it's fear. You don't have to believe everything I believe. You don't have to practice everything I practice. But if you believe in African liberation, if you believe that we should own and operate the businesses in our community, that we should control the politics in our community, if you believe that we should think like as global citizens, right? Think as global citizens, right? And start doing business in Africa and in the Caribbean and in South America. Huh? If you want to own land, huh? I'm going to tell you how I want to debate with the Hebrew. I'm not a black Hebrew. I'm going to tell you how I want to debate. I want to debate like this. I want the black Hebrew to come and say we opened up 3 more stores. And I want to say we opened up 5. That's how I want to compete. I want the Moors to say we pulled 100 more out of public school. I want to say we just pulled out 110 more. That's how I want to compete. We just opened up a factory in Cuba, or we just opened up 2 factories in Venezuela. That's how I want to compete. That's where I want us to be. I want Temple to be that hub where we come and we applaud each other's efforts. Hey man, the Moors just occupied that abandoned parking lot over on Berry and Riverside. Man, let's give it up to the Moorish Science Temple for more information. See Brother L.E. in the back. That's Temple. That's Temple. I want to congratulate the Nation of Islam for opening a new Muhammad University of Islam on the west side, and they're opening up another one on the east side next year. Let's applaud their work because they're pulling them away from the enemy. We'll work with them from there. We'll work with each other from there. Man, I want to celebrate the RBGs for another successful RBG family weekend and for starting another African Center School in Fort Worth. Let's give them a hand. That's what Temple is. Temple's that place where we all come on a spiritual level to practice spiritual unity, the tolerance that your spirituality should have taught you. The tolerance. And I know some people out there be like, but brother, we not black. Brother, we not African. Brother, we this. Brother, we... Okay, fine. My response is always, fine, but you in the group, right? You in the group, though. You in this group. I feel you. Fine, you in this group, right? But here's my question. If I am an African, though, why does that have to be less than what you are? If I say I am an African, Africa, coming from Afrika, Akibulan, General Afrik, as Marcus Garvey described in the ancient general that Africa was named after, or Afrika, that Dr. Ivan Van Sertima verified was on the walls of Kemet, which means the mother of all, or motherland. If I say I am an African, why it gotta be less than what you are? Why it gotta be less than an Asiatic? Why it gotta be less than an Israelite? Why does it have to be less? Why can't I be that? But can't you see that's the conditioning? That's the conditioning that makes you live and let live with everything European but intolerant to anything African? How can you respect European Abrahamic spiritual systems and not respect indigenous African spiritual systems? You have to ask yourself, why does that make you angry? Why the disdain towards Africa, Africans, African spirituality? Ain't nothing wrong with calling yourself an Asiatic. Because we were Asiatics before anybody was an Asiatic. We were Israelites, which is in North Africa, before anybody else was an Israelite. We were all those things before, you know what I'm saying? We were all those things before anybody else were those things. That's the truth. That's the truth. We were Muslims, one who does the will of the Creator, before anyone else was a Muslim. That's the truth. But we were also Africans before anybody else was anything. We were also Africans before any of those things existed. We were in Kush. We were in Kemet, developing our relationship with the Creator. That's right, Shannon. Garvey was a Christian, but he was an African-centered Christian. Look, Africans ain't gonna never believe one thing. Get that out of your head. We're too diverse culturally, especially Nu Africans. And we call ourselves Nu Africans in America because we are a blend of indigenous people here, indigenous people from the continent, indigenous people from South America. We are combinations. And just from the continent alone, they stole over 300 different distinct African ethnic groups. So we all mix, but we ain't mixed like you think. You 2 parts Irish and 1 part European. You mixed with different African cultures. You're something new. The black man and woman in America is something new. We New Africans. We're not African Americans because we're not Americans. Americans don't need laws to protect them. Like if you're an American, the laws on the books that are for all Americans would apply for you, to you. And it's not individual white folks that's denying you from being an American. It's America that's denying you from being an American. America enslaved. Prejudiced white people didn't enslave you for 300 years. America did that. Prejudiced white people didn't put you through the Jim Crow era. America did that. Prejudiced white people aren't the ones that denying you laws, over sentencing you, letting cops get away with murdering you. America is doing that. And they're not doing it to Americans because Americans are not treated that way. So you're not African Americans. But any of those other indigenous terms where you can prove that we are the foundation of that place where you came from, do that. Grab it, hold it, hug it, but don't turn around and think you're becoming something more than an African. You don't have to call yourself or consider yourself But don't demean it when you turn from it. See, when you turn from it and demean it, all that tells me is that you really don't know the story. You really don't know the story of that continent, of that landmass. You really don't know the story of the people that put it down there first. The people who laid the foundation for civilization. They were not light-skinned with straight hair. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the dark-skinned, big-nosed, big-lipped, nappy-headed scientists that put it down, that charted the stars, that taught us how to tell time. That just tells me that you don't know the story. Because if you knew the story, you would never, ever reject it. You'd only respect it. Even when you chose to call yourself something else, you would never reject that. And you got to understand that when you reject that, you are now on the team of your enemy. You're saying to the white man that, no, you're trying to claim my stuff. I'm an Israelite. I'm the Muslim. I'm this. I'm that. No, you're the devil. You're my oppressor. I'm against, but I agree with you about Africa. Now, I agree with you about Africa, though. Now. I'm the lost tribes bad. I'm this, I'm that. I'm an African-centered Christian. I'm this, I'm that. But I agree with you about that Africa, though. I don't even want to call myself African. I don't call myself no African. It's like, good, so we can continue to rape it. Good, don't claim it, so we can continue to get rich off of it. Good. Look away from Africa, Hebrew. Look away from Africa more. Go try to find your natural resources somewhere else when you get big. Look away from that. Don't look at that. Look at those people with disdain. They're pagan. Believe they're pagan like we believe they're pagan. That's something that you and the European has in common. Believe that they're pagan like we do that, so we can have that in common. But while you're doing that, we'll be raping Africa. That's why we need a temple in every city. That's why we need a temple in every community, because it's hard out here. We all working. We need a spot to come to where our ancestors and the Creator will remind us that we're still on the same slave ship. We still rowing oars on the same boat. You might be in section 12. I might be in section 9. I'm pushing my oar. You pushing your oar. We're still moving the same boat at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's going to take a collective effort to change things in our community, to build in our community. You're going to need more than the people at your study group if you're going to get out here and get something done. You're going to need more than the people that dress like you, talk like you, be on Facebook and liking everything you say if you want to get out here and get things done. We started temple and we began to get things done. We began to be able to navigate our community. Walk into the preacher's office, walk into the imam's office. We began to be able to sit down with Moors and sit down with the college students, the militias, and everybody had a place that they were welcome to come. We began to learn how to dialogue with one another. Most importantly, we were challenged to deal with each other on a personal level. We were challenged to deal with each other with our own. We had to face our own insecurities about black people, about people, period. You couldn't hide behind the banner of your ideology like you can on Facebook when you're sitting down in person, when we're eating together, breaking bread together, when we're traveling together. Then our own prejudice started popping up when the street cat don't like the college cat, or the college cat don't like the street cat. When one person thinks they got more of a right to black power than the other one. All that starts to surface. The issues with the sisters, the queens. I ain't gonna even go deep into that. Navigating relationships and families, working with marriages and keeping marriages together, encouraging brothers to not step out on their wives, be honest with their queens. You know what I'm saying? Encouraging the sisters to be honest with their kings and uplifting, supporting, and patient with their kings, dealing with infidelities, dealing with betrayals, mediating real life situations. It's deeper than a post here and there. See, on that level, it's deeper than a lecture here and there. See, on that level, it's deep. See, when you get engaged on that community level, here it comes. Not just from white folks. I'm talking about here it comes from Africans. Here it comes from black. You sure you want it? Cause it's coming. You sure you want the sister with the serious abandonment and abuse issues? You sure? Cause she coming. You sure you want the brother who can't hold down a job? The brother who's having a hard time dealing with his anger, never dealt with the trauma that he experienced in his life? You sure you ready? Cause he coming. You sure you ready for the dysfunctional relationships? They're coming. Oh, they're coming with their black history books and they coming with knowledge, but they coming. Knowledge don't cure all of that. Knowledge don't cure that. Knowledge doesn't cure character. And I always say, look at the ancestors, lean on the ancestors to see what it is that we need to establish moral fiber, to establish character amongst each other. And what our ancestors established all the way back to ancient Kush, ancient Kemet, was spiritual systems. They established a spiritual code. What our ancestors did, they took it off of them and they put it in the deities. They recognized that you had a lower self and an upper self, and they identified the upper self as the divine. But recognizing that the divine ain't always in control. You got the Sahu man too. You got the lower self too. The great-haired Am-Akhet, or the Sphinx, one of the oldest, most noted statues in the world, a combination of man, beast, brain, and body, symbolizing that we are both. We have the capacity of a higher self and the capacity of a lower self. And we needed discipline. We needed regimens, diets, specific rituals put in place in order to balance that out. Our ancestors did that. So all of our modern day scholars that say you don't need a spiritual system in place, you just know right from wrong, that ain't what your ancestors said. Yeah, they was building pyramids and needed spiritual systems. When you build, it's just a conversation and you don't need one. You ain't built a Pizza Hut. You can't build a dollhouse in your backyard, but you don't need a spiritual system. We can't take it off the internet and make it real in our communities and talk about we don't need a spiritual system. I didn't say a religion. I said a spiritual system. Whatever system that keeps you honest. Whatever system that keeps you respectful and humble, keeps you eager and ready to work. Whatever system that keeps you healthy, that's your spiritual system. It only becomes a religion when you fall off and you got to do it again. You just realign it. Those ain't bad words. Our ancestors developed spiritual systems. So what do we see today? What do we need today? We need spiritual systems. Not just those that were handed down to us by our great leaders and ancestors. We need to develop new ones too. And this is one. African-centered universalism is a new spiritual system that fosters spiritual unity among African people where necessary and needed. I'm the messenger for that system. I'm here to build institutions around that system. We've tried it here in Fort Worth. We've had success. We've had challenges. I'm telling you something, you can't understand the depth of the sickness that's inside of us. We've had challenges. We've had betrayals. We've had it. But we've learned from it. And they're making us stronger. It made us go back. You ever seen that karate movie where he came out and he mastered the style, and then when he fought the big boss because he thought he was ready, but the big boss had a style he ain't never heard of, and the big boss almost killed him. The big boss put the five knuckle punch on him, pip, 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 pip. And he go back and he injured and he hurt and he get with his complimented woman or whatever. She started putting the herbs on him. He almost died. He convulsions, but he come up out of it. Then when he come up out of it physically, he goes through like a spiritual depression. Like, man, I can't believe he whooped me. I was trying to defend my master. I was trying to defend my teacher. I can't believe he whooped me, man. I thought I was ready, and he had to humble himself. And somebody came to him and say, look, go outside and plant some rice. You need to step back. You use the shit for a little while and you don't forgot how to get your hands dirty. So go outside and plant some rice. Man, go fetch some water buckets for the villagers. You know. Yeah, you kung fu guy. You got your ass whooped by the big boss. Now go fetch some water, start gaining your strength back, start realizing who you are, whose you are. Once you get to that point, you humble up and you got your focus back, you know what I'm saying? You're going to learn a new style. Master that new style, right? On top of that style, And once you master that style and you ready, go back in. Get back in the fight. You know that story comes from Heru too. Heru took on Set too early. Set put them thigh eyes on Heru. Then Heru consulted Osar. He consulted his father, his higher self, his divinity. Like you say, I'm just going to give all praise to the Father. All praise to Allah. Kemetic people was giving praise to the Father thousands of years before all of that, man. Quit calling them pagans. He went, they gave him a third eye, second sight. He gifted him with another style on top of the style he had. And he went back and he whooped Set. He went back and he handled business. That's what we got to be prepared to face as we establish our spiritual system. Everybody not on board. You got to understand that working with black people scare black people. Working with black people scare a lot of black people. It does. It's a scary prospect. Getting started on any new venture is scary. Whether you starting a business, whether you know what I'm saying, with any new venture, it's scary when you get started. So if starting a job is scary, if starting a new business is scary, building African-owned institutions, a spiritual institution for African people, how scary you think that is? It's very scary. Amongst the people who you've been taught won't come together, ain't gonna come together, not gonna unify. Of people that you're taught don't want nothing. Don't deserve nothing. That's what Temple is about. We went through our trying time. We went through a time where the business that we were helping and supporting and that was helping and supporting us saw us as competition when we got our first building on our own. Our intent was never to compete with another black-owned business. That was never our intent. Our intent was not to take economics away from that building. That was never our intent. Our intent was to build Black Wall Street. Our intent was to put another black-owned business or two on the block and to keep going. That's what our intent was. We were still going to send people to that business. We were still spending money in the other business. But unfortunately, they felt like we were competing and began to encourage people not to support us, and a wedge was formed. People came to me, Baba, go talk, Baba, go heal, go do this, go do that. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be real right now, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And there's no excuses. I didn't do it. I consciously chose to keep working, I chose a position of not to bash the business, to continue to support and send people to the business, but not to go and do what I had to do to mend the relationship between us and the business. I chose to let time do that. I chose to let time do that. And I'm not going to lie, I chose because the relationship was hurting me at home. It was hurting us financially. It was putting me in a position where it was more difficult to feed my children, and I was personally hurt because these were people that claimed to love my children. I still tell people to go support that business. I'm going to always do that. I don't discourage people from going there. I don't know if they're doing the same. A few months ago, I heard something to the contrary, but I ain't heard it from them. But you see what I mean? This ain't easy. It's not easy establishing a place where we can all go. And that's why y'all, those of us who believe in this type of unity, we have to own the place that we have. It's cool that I can go and partner with organizations that have their own space. But if you're going to have a space where black people of different ideologies are encouraged to come and unify and mediate and deal with conflict, those people who are dedicated to that unity have to own that place. We have to. So our mandate is to own Temple, to own Uhuru Academy. Our mandate is to find a place, a campus, that will house not only the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity, but it will house the Uhuru Academy and hopefully some retail businesses as well. We have to do it. We don't have no choice in the matter. We have to do it so we can have a place where we can hone our craft, where we can have a place where we can get better, where we can deal with issues better. Because it got me, that pain, it got me. Around that same time, or not soon after that, my mother passed. Right when my mother was transitioning, and there was a sister that we helped that was putting out videos, quote unquote, exposing us and talking about us and lying about our personal life, lying and talking about my children while my mother's on her deathbed, right? And I have people who I know in the community that are supposed to be conscious in my inbox, like, ha, see what it feel like, ha, ha. What? People that I have not transgressed against. I had a person that was trying to recruit me into an E5 priesthood, but on the cool was just trying to take over temple. On the cool was just trying to co-opt the work that we had put in the community. You done sat on your ass with all this knowledge and information, right? But you can't connect to the people. You see somebody connecting to the people, so you try to put your information on that person to control that person. I had somebody come to do that to me, and I almost fell for it. I did fall for it for a few days. I was seduced by a promise of some sort of extra power, but creating the ancestors was like, what power you think he can give you that we ain't already gave you? What power you think them shells finna give you that you don't already have? If anything, you pick up them shells to administer the power that I've already bestowed upon you. How you gonna act like there's a spiritual gift? How you gonna act like that there's a spiritual gift that somebody else can give you that I haven't already given you? I've already given you Pan African or African-centered universalism. I've given you the power to deliver it to the people. What more evidence do you need? They're here. They're not there where he at. If he had the power, why wasn't everybody over there? Why was they sitting in front of you? How you gonna forsake the source you already got? Act like you finna go to another source. I played myself. I played myself. And some of the E5 cats jumped in and ate it up. I had people who were standing by my side and looked and said, oh, so that's the real stuff? Because if I was looking at that, that must be the real stuff. And it started turning to it, which ain't nothing wrong with that, but started turning away from the true concept of African universalism and African unity. All of a sudden, it was cool to be mad at black folk again around me. I'm like, God dang it. All of a sudden, you discourage it. Don't put a spell on him. Don't put a spell. Oh, Lord, we're doing spells. Are we beefing with the spell? What is going on? But I validated that. But I'm going to tell you, even Ifa, even Voodoo, even the indigenous African spiritual systems have to learn to love Africans again. Even those who practice that have to learn to work with African people again. Have to learn to love the people again. That's right. Because a lot of people are skipping the history and jumping into that system too. And if you don't have a historical context, then your historical context is everything. And if you don't have a proper historical context, you will not have a proper ability to administer your power. Period. So you started seeing snake oils eat by cells. Now, I'm not talking about everybody. I know some brothers and sisters that practice E5 that are straight revolutionaries. Peace, Bible, I bring them. Peace, Tahir, RBG, T, my eye. Peace and power to all of y'all. I ain't talking about everybody. But you got E5 snake oil salesmen and women, just like you got Christian snake oil salesmen and women. Don't think just because it's wrapped up in a dashiki that it's African-centered. You can be African and not be African-centered, not be centered on African values. Because your center ain't about how you look. It ain't about that. Your center ain't about how many phrases you know. Your center ain't about that. Your center is about your core values. Don't be fooled just because somebody can do libations in Igbo, that means that they for African people. That ain't what that means. Don't think just because someone's steeped in African culture that they're allies to African people. Our goal is not to become an African that existed 500 years ago. Our goal is not to become that. Our goal is not to become colonial Africa. Our goal is to embrace Akibulan. Afrika. That Africa that all of us has lost. Don't be fooled. And I started seeing that. People just jumping over here, jumping over there. The dude came in and even partnered with the doc and started a temple around the corner from Temple. At the same time, the temple was on Sundays. And many other Africans who have been coming to Temple joined that one, stayed right there. And felt like, oh, this is the real thing, but I did that. Because now a brother say, yeah, I'm teaching by me. I was teaching him. He just couldn't handle it. He couldn't take it. This, that real, everybody say that, this, that real African stuff. That's what they do. This, that real African spirituality. This, that real African spirituality. That's what they say. But you can practice a real African spiritual system and be a real cracker in your heart. You can practice a real African spirituality and be a real devil. Be a real Caucasian on the inside. Be a real Eurocentric Christian on the inside. Yes, you can. Tell them I said it. You need African-centered universalism too. You can know all 256 Odu and name every Orisha and their attributes and still be a cracker on the inside. Ask any Ifa priest. Ask any Yoruba priest if they know some. That ain't gonna rescue you. Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity is about getting you involved in the upliftment of your people, not calling you in because I'm promising you that your problems gonna go away if you master this. I'm not promising you that. Every religion that's ever promised you that you wouldn't have no problems if you practice religion was lying. Anybody bringing an African-centered spiritual system to you, telling you that practicing this spiritual system is going to get rid of your problems and establish you as the best this in the world, and they lying to you. They lying. Only your core value system can do that for you. They lying. Don't let nobody come to you promising you the world and then charging you $10,000 to be deemed worthy. That's Eurocentric shit. That's European stuff. You investigate for yourself. You think for yourself. That's what you do. You investigate. You look at their calendar. Where they been? Who are they? That's what I looked at. So I removed myself from that situation. And the energy was so bad that way, I said, I can't even get immersed in that. Right now, I got to let them do their thing because I know what's in the core. And when you see what's in their core, when you see that that core value is Eurocentric, it ain't nothing but one direction that thing can go in. But we made a commitment. At Temple, you can be whatever you want. Ifa, Moor, Muslim, you can be anything you want. Just be about the business of uplifting your people. And you have some people who I committed to, that are committed to me, that as soon as somebody dangled a little African carrot in front of them, they jetted. But you're supposed to be here with me, with us, building a community. I'm just saying what's on my mind. I'm just giving Temple's testimony. But we continue to do Temple though. Temple didn't stop. That didn't stop Temple. Matter of fact, Temple got stronger after that. As a matter of fact, we got more engaged in the community. We started doing more business with one another. Our national family began to grow. While people were still griping and we was in Atlanta, we was in New York, we was in Memphis, we were in Arkansas. We were traveling and visiting our family across the country, helping them establish businesses on the ground, supporting their schools and programs that they started. That's what we was up to. Kept building, kept building, kept building. No ill will towards any African. No ill will towards any African. Long as they over there helping African people, we ain't doing no tripping. We won't get caught in the circus. We won't let them turn our mission into beef with another African organization. They're not in our way. White supremacy is in our way. It's the white supremacy inside of us that's preventing us from fixing the situation. So you're not in my way. White supremacy is still in my way. The myth of white supremacy is still in my way. That's why we need a temple. When Seti and Umar is beefing and going back and forth on a video, that ain't Seti being in Umar's way or Umar being in Seti's way. That's white supremacy being in both of their way. That's why we need the temple. And that's why Pan-African or African-centered universalism has to be established and it has to spread. So many great potential leaders fall into the wayside because there's no institutional foundation there to back them up. So many factions fighting harder to keep their integrity as an individualized group than to work with the collective as a whole. Fighting hard just to survive, man, just to hang on in the misinformation age. That's why we need a temple. That's why we need an institution that's the high road. Now, I'm not talking about a high road that make everybody be best friends. That's not practical. I'm talking about a high road that sit everybody down and say, y'all's issue is messing up everybody's business. Y'all's issue is confusing everybody's family. Y'all making it hot for everybody. So y'all got to chill that part out and keep this part going. Come on. We need a place where we sit down and it's like, man, look here, we got to deal with this right here, deal with that, out of the public square. We ain't going live. Out of the public square. We got babies that are hungry in Weber Gardens. We got babies that are hungry in Butler Housing. You got food stamps, you got a van. Y'all shouldn't be beefing. Come together based on the food stamps and the van. We'll deal with the other later. I hope I'm making sense to y'all. That's why we need a temple. But you can't build it on sentiment. You can't build it on my words alone. It has to be built with resources. One of the things that we didn't do with temple and haven't done up to this point is worried about what people gave. We developed a temple membership and we had dues of $20 a month. Well, that's still in place. I need to create a vehicle where our national family can get involved with that and become members of the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity. But what does it mean to be a member of the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity? Number one, you're declaring yourself. You're declaring yourself as an African-centered universalist. You're saying that you're ready for spiritual unity with your brothers and sisters, cultural unity with your brothers and sisters, and that you're willing to get out here and spread that message to your brothers and sisters. You're saying that you're willing to be a part of building this institution on the ground where you live. That you're ready to build a school where you live. Support black-owned businesses and spark black-owned business where you live. Marry couples and counsel families where you live. You're saying that you're ready to see the divinity inside of African people. That you're ready to study African divinity. You're ready to study it. You're ready to embrace it and see it. When you envision a higher power, you envision your people. That's what you're saying when you become a member. You're saying you want to invest in it. You're saying that that's something worth building. That you need something to look at, something tangible, not just to think about it. Just something tangible, real, something real to look at. Something real in your neighborhood where the women are safe, the children are safe, the brothers are safe, and everybody's embracing a discipline and looking out for one another. You're saying that you recognize that it takes time, that it takes commitment. You're saying that you're willing to work on your overdeveloped ego and your sense of fear when you have people around you who don't think exactly like you do. Damn it, you're saying you're ready to give the reverence and respect and the tolerance to your people that you already give to white people. You're saying that this unity among us is just as vital to your survival as your job. Because you go to jobs where people openly hate you and you swallow that shit because you tied to your survival. You see where it's directly related to your survival. And perhaps we don't see or believe where our unification is directly related to not only our survival long term, but in the short term. And it's related to our success and our striving as a people. It's directly related to solving the problems and issues in our community. Your job just get you out. Your job just gets you out. Maybe get your babies out. But how many people with great jobs got fucked up kids? So really it just gets you out. But you get the news about your cousin. You're going to get the news about your brother. You get the news about your sister. You get the news about your aunt who didn't get out. When you join the Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity, you're making a commitment to the collective get out. To the collective get out. That's also where we ran into a brick wall with a lot of Africans. Because a lot of Africans wasn't ready for the collective get out. They were still on that personal relationship that's just about getting them to heaven. It's just that relationship that's just worrying about their personal self, me, myself, and I. A lot just want to come in because I can sell my shirts here. I can do this here. I can set this up here. Make a little money here. I'll be a merchant here, but I won't be a participant here. I won't be an activist here. But let me know when y'all got an event and y'all got a bunch of people coming. There are a few African centered businesses in my community that we've helped tremendously, that don't give a dime or a damn about our institution. Uhuru Academy don't get a whole lot of support around here with our African centers. God, we get some. We get some. We get some great support from some. That collective get out. That's what becoming a member of Temple is. You got to look at it just like you look at that job. It's tied to our survival. A lot of y'all make posts, they killing us. We dying out here. A lot of y'all make posts like that. A lot of us make posts like that. But well, how do we stop it? What is the company that you work for doing to heal your community? We're going to have to build those institutions ourselves. They can't run YouTube. We're not going to get saved through YouTube. It's not going to work. We got to build it on the ground. Next time a speaker come to you, ask them what you're doing on the ground where you live. I know you got good words, but what institutions have you established? You can't lead something that don't exist. We call people leaders that ain't got nothing to lead. And then you got leaders that's trying to lead a community that can't move. That's why we need a temple. And that's why we need your help. We need your help. We need your donations. We need your investment. We got to invest in this thing. We have to get our own campus. We got to get our own place. We have to start building businesses. We have to spark it. We have to spark it. We got to show it. Temples always only taking twos and fees. Whatever you got, give. And that's still our philosophy. But we need bigger, more consistent commitments. We need more consistent commitments. We need to meet. We need to be video conferencing and talking about this vision. I want to share this vision with you. We need to meet about this vision. We need to make this thing happen. Those that are serious about doing it, inbox me, message me. Let's make this happen. There's going to be video meetings outside. This is the public thing that we do every Sunday. But there are going to be weekly private things that we do as well. And this is a national initiative. Not just a Fort Worth initiative. This is a national initiative. The goal to establish a headquarters here, right, and build temples in cities all over the country. Niggas can't build up whatever. I ride through Frisco. I see mosques with golden domes built by black and mild money. I ride and I see mosques. I look, and even at school, when we say we can't build schools, we got the largest charter school in Texas. It's called Harmony Science and Math. Largest charter school in Texas, generates hundreds of millions of dollars in Texas. They're owned by an Islamic movement in Turkey. You got an Islamic movement in Turkey building charter schools in Texas, sending the tax dollars back to Turkey. Harmony, look them up. But we say collectively we can't build schools, but their schools, Harmony, they're based on a spiritual system. Things called Golanism, which is a form of Islam. Harmony, the school movement, is based on a spiritual movement. Our school movement is based on a spiritual movement. I know we talk a lot about Uhuru Academy, but Uhuru Academy is built by Temple. It's a Temple initiative. Its foundation is the spiritual movement, and we haven't paid enough attention to the spiritual movement. So I'm going to wrap it up today. I'm going to close it by mentioning what's going on. Oh, sister, much respect. You know, and that's what I've been doing, sister. I've been laying low, fasting, I've been praying, and getting myself right. You know, flushing. Flushing. You know, I got your email, and I got you. All right, I got you. We need you. We need your energy. I want to bring Boyce Watkins and his institution through, right? Claude Anderson and his institutions through. Want to do that, huh? Want to do that, man. I want to be able to support movements out there, formations out there in Cobra, to fight for reparations, man. You should never have to worry about a place to meet. They need new, fresh members. Public of Nu Afrika, the Nu Afrikan Political Organization, NAPO, all of them, man, need fresh leadership, fresh membership. We got to be the hub for that. We got to be the hub for that. All right, I want to leave y'all by giving you some advice with things that are going on right now in this country, with rampant police terrorism, which is nothing new. It's been here forever. But the games that local governments are playing when it comes to our community, we crying out for change, and rightfully so. We want an end to police terrorism. We want better quality education for our children. Now, of course, I want African-centered education, which is the best quality education for our children. You know, but the community is crying out right now for change, for help, for hope. And what happens is that the enemy strives to control the narrative when we get worked up like this. Their goal is to control the narrative, to control the story. The media participates, the government participates, because the end goal is to keep things the same, to only have change happen in areas that don't affect somebody else's money, to only allow change, a little change, right, by throwing just a little change at it, by making us believe that the power we need to enact change lies in the hands of white folks. See, as long as you're asking someone else, particularly the people that put you in the situation that you're in, as long as you're asking them for relief, you'll never be free. You might get little pockets of relief. You might get more comfortable enslavement, but your enslavement is not going to end. So what's going on right now with the rampant police terrorism, one of the things they do to take the focus off of that is to put a highlight on what's called black-on-black crime or black-on-black violence. Just about every town hall you go to, there's going to be somebody black to stand up and say, we can't talk about what they doing to us. Look at what we doing to us. And then we all get like not everybody, but we get this collective shame to come over us. And, yeah, we all killing each other. Yeah, we all killing each other. Quick question, who is it? No. Name the other people that's sitting back saying they don't deserve justice because they hurt each other. But before you do that, name the people that don't hurt each other. You don't think white people kill white people. You don't think Mexican people kill Mexican people. Asian people kill Asian people. Name the people that don't kill each other first. Because this standard that we set for ourselves, where we have to stop killing each other before we deserve justice, is the loftiest standard for justice anyone has ever laid on themselves. Violence is out of control in our communities. When is violence under control? Name a community that has violence under control. Our way. Name a community that just has violence completely under control. Yeah, I know. See, violence isn't a black thing. It's an American cultural phenomenon. Let me say it again. Violence is an American cultural phenomenon. Okay? And I put American on it because even though Europe is a violent place and Europeans are historically a violent people, the culture of violence has taken new heights in America, in the United States of America, the culture of violence. I'm not talking about war-torn countries where two ideological armies are fighting and killing each other and hurt. That's called a civil war. America be turning nose up, but America's had a civil war too. But so that's civil war. I'm talking about when violence is embedded in the culture. When you turn on television, sex and violence. Radio, sex and violence. Movies, sex and violence. Violence against women, violence toward children, violence towards non-Europeans, European violence towards other Europeans. Violence, violence, violence. And then we turn around when it's time to deal with justice for black people and we treat violence like it's some kind of special black phenomenon unique to the black community. You gotta watch the language that is used. Don't ever get shamed out of fighting. Cause see, if you won't even fight for civil rights, you damn sure ain't gonna fight for African liberation. If you're not even gonna fight for equality, you sure ain't gonna fight for equity, and they understand that. So if you made them feel ashamed just for saying something like Black Lives Matter, you got the cops in Baton Rouge are suing the Black Lives Matter movement, saying that spurs violence against cops. Just saying Black Lives Matter spurs violence against cops. If you getting shamed out of just saying your life matters, you damn sure ain't finna fight for liberation. You damn sure ain't finna open no school. You certainly ain't finna open no African-owned business. And definitely if you open a business, it ain't gonna be one that's gonna be competing on a global level with these crackers and Asians and Arabs. Toxic shame. So while they're highlighting black on black violence, I'm trying to give you tools to fight that argument. There's no such thing as black on black violence. It's violence. You have white on white violence. They just call it violence. Now, what you would do if you think an African Center, you call our violence violence and call their violence white on white violence. Flip it on. Right? So what happens is they change the conversation. So the conversation is no longer about police terrorism. Now it becomes about stopping the violence in our communities. Stopping the violence in our communities. Most black people I know don't kill black people. Most black people I know don't engage in that type of violence. Most black children I know don't carry a gun. Most black children I know just want a fair opportunity. Most black children I know haven't killed anybody black as of today. Most. There's a small percentage that engages in the foolishness. A small percentage. Now, there's a larger percentage that engages in some sort of foolishness, but that the killing part, the small percentage. Now, it's advertised to our children every day. Artists willing to talk about it and perpetuate it, they get extra limelight. We've been conditioned to want to hear that and see those images, be entertained by those images. I come from a generation that was entertained by those images. Those images affected us, and it continues to affect us. We need to provide balance. That's why we have to have ownership. We have to control the story. So they're getting fed a narrative of pill popping, a narrative of polyandry, what they call that shit, when you love anything, you have sex with anything. You know, homosexuality, lesbian. They getting fed a whole different narrative, right? On black life. Our children are getting fed this narrative, man. They're getting fed this narrative. We're getting fed this narrative. So we look like a community that's out of control. And even though we walk outside and we see that it's not as out of control as we say, we still nod our head when people say it. And then when something happens and it gets highlighted, we treat it like every black person just killed somebody. And we make a generalized statement like we need to stop the killing. We killing each other. We are not killing each other. Some Africans are killing other Africans. This is not a collective group effort. You're allowing your enemy to make that an intricate part of our culture, like that's a rite of passage. It's not for most of us. For a select few, yes, you got some areas that's worse than others. But you got to highlight the areas that are building and doing positive things. Communities like Jackson, Mississippi, you got to analyze what they're doing. They still have crime, but God, they have a lot of progressive movement in black economic development too. You can't just look at Chicago because Trump telling you to. So recognize those key words. So when you start saying stop the violence, you're giving the white man a tool. He's saying, see, I told you they out of control. They got to hold a rally and beg each other to stop killing each other. See? Then a lot of the preachers that come through screaming stop the violence don't even live in the neighborhood. They might still preach there, but they don't live there. How much violence could be prevented if our spiritual leaders still lived in the community? How bad do you want to stop the violence? How much violence would be prevented if we built more businesses inside the community and employed our young people? Black youth are the most unemployed group of youth in the country. See, you screaming stop the violence, you messing up my son's job chances. He can't get a job because he's a black youth, and black youth are violent. And they look on the news and you saying, you young people, stop killing each other. All of them ain't killing each other. You need to be saying, young people, keep striving. Young people, start living. Young people, get out here and live. You should be able to say black youth are the best youth to hire. We need to advocate and promote our children. We hating on our children. Ain't nobody taking a chance on them. You won't even take a chance on them. You sing again, singing with the enemy. Yeah, they're going to come support it. Yeah, they're going to sponsor it when you say stop the violence. Yeah, they're going to sponsor it because you're backing up their argument that we are the violence, that the problem in the community is us. The problem in America with crime is us. And they're going to take that information and use it to justify mass incarceration. You're going to be protesting it and supporting it at the same time. They use your voice. Bill Clinton did it. Came to the church and told you that all of us gangbangers was just tearing up the black community, and Dr. King will be rolling over in his grave, and that his wife said that the black male is a super predator, and you have to lock him up, and all of that. And we was just like, yeah. Then he played the saxophone on Arsenio Hall. See, he identified with us, and she got hot sauce in her purse, and they turned around and locked up black people from coast to coast for menial crime. And wide receiver from the Broncos, Obama pardoned his mama and his grandmama after they spent 16 years in prison because of the Rockefeller drug law. 16 years they were taken away. His parents taken away from him. Here he is playing in the NFL, and they overturned the conviction. 16 years, damage done. Thank you, Bill. And, before you start singing Obama's praises, he only let out about, they say, maybe 6% of those people who were put in jail because of the unfair drug sentencing laws and appealed it. He let out a whopping 6%. That means 94% had to stay in the penitentiary away from their family. Y'all think this a game? We gotta control the narrative. It's not time to stop the killing. It's time to start the living. It's time to start living. That's how you prevent the killing. We gotta teach our babies how to live. Look at the school. What is the school teaching them? What is it teaching them? Is it teaching them how to live, how to strive? If it's not doing that, why are they still there? You have the power to control where your baby goes to school. We have the power to control the narrative. Yes, we need to deal with issues inside our community, but not with them. Not with them, and we have to control the narrative. They're not interested in being an ally to our healing or our freedom. Do y'all understand that? So yeah, they don't support the Stop the Violence rally because it supports their agenda. And yeah, they're going to toss a few of you some crumbs to shut up. The stronger voices. They're gonna promise you some crumbs. You're going to get a program. You're going to get a grant. You're going to get that. But it's going to be a Band-Aid on a bullet wound while they're going to be sweeping in, taking our people off the street, watching and celebrate as we take each other off the street. And they're going to starve you out. They did it in the 90s. I saw beautiful programs like Safe Haven, which is an independent program of Cree Lester. 24/7 he was open. A safe haven for the brothers and sisters caught up in the gang life. They could come up in there. Southside, 5 Deuce, they would go up in there, man, all times of night to get off the streets. Some didn't have homes to go home to. Get a hot meal. He was vocal with the city. May he rest in power. He was vocal with the city about what was going on the south side. Him and soldiers like Miss Margaret. Oh, man, rest in power, Miss Margaret. They had it going on. Boys and Girls Club stepped in. Powers that be stepped in and offered him some money. By this time, they had starved him out. They wasn't giving him no support. Wasn't nobody supporting a 24-hour program that treated young people in gangs like human beings. So they starved him out. They found a compromise. He took the money because he had to survive. He was no longer 24/7 safe haven. He became a regular Boys and Girls Club with a game room. Meantime, a lot of the warriors he would help him were dying, getting locked up. They didn't let up, then they intensified. They got rid of the safe haven, then intensified the campaign to destroy the community. I watched it happen. A lot of us watched it happen. Miss Margaret watched it happen, articulated it to me. We cannot repeat that history. If you're a grassroots organizer and you hear my voice, do not take the carrot. Let's get together under this banner and work for our people. The ancestors will protect us. The Creator will protect us and guide us, and we will be successful. I'll be back next week at 3 p.m. I pray that you got something out of this message today. The Temple of Nu Afrikan Unity is here. We're looking for members, and we're looking for chapters across the country. I'm not going to stop as long as the ancestors say so. If you're serious about joining, if you're serious about supporting our efforts, I'll be setting up a donation area online that will go into Temple's own account, own PayPal account, and we'll begin to stack those funds. Those of you here locally that want to be on the committee to help us find a place to have Temple, a place to hold Temple, get at me in my inbox. We can work on that as well. I just don't want us to get in a renting situation that'll prevent us from getting into an owning situation. Alright? So that's all I got today. I pray you got something for it. Please like and share this video. Spread it to anyone you know with a like mind. Help me get the word out. Peace to RBG Nation. A reminder of RBG Family Weekend, August 18th through the 20th, here in Fort Worth, Texas, our 6th annual. I also want to remind everybody about the Adult African History class with the Uhuru Academy. You can go to uhuaacademy.com for more information. I also want to remind everyone about our Operation Reconnect High School Diploma Program. It's an adult program. Right now we're focused on the state of Texas only. If you're in the state of Texas, you're 16 and up and you need your high school diploma, you need to get in touch with us and enroll in our program today. I'm out of here. I love you. I don't mind telling you. This has been Temple. See you Black here next week, 3 o'clock. Black Power.